What's up, everybody? We're back one more time. I have the official build done. The big red machine is sitting behind me. I'll show you guys a better look at that here in a minute. I've been wrestling with my new camera, so I'm sorry if anything appears shoddy. I'll try and get a better video soon if I can. But this system has been both a bear and it's been a really good learning experience for doing a complete GPU and CPU water cooling loop. This is my first time ever doing a single loop with both of those components. I never posted any of my videos of water cooling before. I did my Phenom X4 965 Black Edition rig, which was actually not all that bad, regardless what I said about it, which was actually, it was not all that great. But it was pretty good in its own self, coming to the fact that it was like a $300 water cooling loop, and I had a bad reservoir, and I ended up with a bad case and a bad radiator from Hardware Labs. It was actually a pretty good machine. I got my little 125 watt quad core to 4.2 gigahertz, where it was unstable as shit, but it doesn't matter because I got it to 4.2 and it booted. But let's take a better look at my system. If you guys want full specs, I'll probably put the specs at the end for all the hardware, and then I'll do the water cooling stuff. I don't ask me about prices because they do change. And if you guys want any information about like how I did any of this stuff, I'll just personal message me, like PM me, or send me like a video about something that you want to know about, or just leave a comment down below in the comments, or check out my previous build logs, which will be over there on the side of the the related videos. Now, without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at the Big Red FX8350 gaming system. Alright, everybody, here is the first completed look at the build itself. Let me unplug, do things really quick here. This is the official system. Now, I built it around a half Cooler Master Half X, or also known as the Half 942 if you like to go by those. This is a full-size ATX tower case, and for reference, I am roughly 5'10", and it is setting on a very small pedestal, and it is nearly up to, I don't know, maybe my shoulders. It's just past my elbows. I'm standing here normally. It is on a low pedestal, but this is a big, heavy case. It's really solidly built, though. It actually broke the tools that I needed to mod it, but that was just an equipment problem then. But this thing is heavy duty, and it is a solid piece of steel. Now here we have the side panel, which I've chosen to go for. It's already got some scratches and some cat hair on it. That's just from having a cat in my house. If you do see any of that in the actual quality of the video, I apologize for that. I did have a bit of a problem with that. But other than that, this fan slot will not be occupied anytime soon because I am going to be getting a full side panel. Either that, or I might go with a half 932 side panel, which still has the really nice half logo down here on the side. And it doesn't even show the drive bay, so that way you'll be able to see the edge of the rad, and then the tubing and the GPU and the res, and that'll be it. And then everything else from over here will be visible, but it's just all about what I can get, when I can get it, and how soon. Let me fix one of the lights real quick. Let's see, where's it going? Alright. Much better. Can you still see inside the case? Not really. Give me a second, guys. Alright, there you go. Anyway, without further ado, let's pop open the side panel. Sorry about the lights. If I need to adjust them again, I will. Taking off the side panel here. I'm going to give you guys a quick, super quick rundown of basically the main components like the motherboard and stuff like that, pulling off the side panel. This is actually bigger than a Cooler Master 311 Elite, which I'm doing a really cheap $500, sub $600 actually, Photoshop editing build for somebody. So yeah. So here is the rig. Now starting off, let me pull up the chair here real quick. So starting off here, guys, we have, at the core, we have an FX8350. This is an 8-core, 4 GHz AMD processor. I do intend to overclock it even more. I've gotten it to 4.4, just tinkering around with the voltages and stuff like that, the multipliers and the CPU ratio. Also, that is being cooled by a Swiftech Apogee HD. I have it on the AMD mounting hardware with my unlocked FX processor case badge that came with my actual CPU. All my fittings are Bits Power. They're the black sparkles. They're all 1/2 by 3/4 inch compression fittings. All of them are. At least that are visible up here and right here. Right here we have my MSI. I believe it's a 2 PMD 3 gigabyte overclocked reference card. I went ahead and liquid cooled that with the Swiftech Apogee, which I'll show you guys a quick look at what it looks like when it's powered on. That is being cooled by a 400mm Phobia Extreme radiator in the top, which is being cooled by two Bitfenix Spectre Pro 200mm red LED fans, so that's giving a nice light show at the top. This actually has a light built into it, and I wish that the Swiftech logo would have been up here, and that would have lit up too. I definitely would have wanted to use a cable if I could have done that, but I have to get an Apogee drive too, which I really didn't want to do since they cost substantially more, and I already have a pump integrated into my system. Now, all my tubing is 1/2 by 3/4 inch Danger Den Dream Flex. But anyway, other stuff is I have my custom painted OCZ Vector. That's 128 gigabyte. I got that done by a local auto shop called Fifth Dimension Collision Repairs. They do really high quality, world class work. They literally have just Vipers and Corvettes and old Chargers and old muscle cars like that and all that stuff in there. Literally every time that I've gone in there. So I have 8 gigs currently of Corsair Dominator 2400 megahertz. I don't have it clocked at 2400, but I'll hopefully be getting it up near or past 2133 once I start overclocking. Just depends on what kind of a processor I've gotten. Maybe I hit the Silicon Lottery, who knows. The lovely backdrop is provided by the Crosshair 5 Formula Z from Asus. This is a really, really nice motherboard. It's got a lot of really nice features like the quick boot, the really nicely placed USB 3 so that way it's not above the 24 pin, so that way I was able to curl it down just below my GPU and right by my res. It also has actually a lot better placement of the 24 pin and a lot of the PWM fan headers, except for this one right here by my 24 pin ATX actually does not work for PWM, so it's just running this back fan at full speed, which is kind of loud, so I normally have it unplugged, but after like 6 or 7 hours of gaming or doing benchmarks or stuff like that or testing, it does actually get pretty warm, so I'll have to get that fixed, or I'll get a PWM splitter for one of the fans up here, and I'll just tie that in somehow. I'll have to pull off the back panel. Anyway, this also has a lot of other nice features, like a really high-end power phase design. It has the really nice, it has a lot of SATA ports. It also has the extreme OC profiles, and it also has the lovely looking start and reset buttons, which is actually really nice to see the physical buttons, along with the integrated high-def Supreme, I believe it's the Supreme FX3 audio, which actually does sound pretty good. I'll show you guys a video of my setup here in a minute. But anyway, moving on down, I have all my USB connected. I do have my NZXT sleeved cable strip. This is 1 meter of the red LEDs, and they actually do glow pretty nicely. They don't block out the Corsair Dominator Platinums, so that way you can see those. I believe I forgot to mention this, but this is an AlphaCool UT60. It's 120mm, 60mm thick radiator, and over here I have mounted in the drive base via Mountain Mods 120mm triple bay fan converter. I have an AlphaCool XT45, which is a slightly slimmer radiator, but it still delivers great performance. Both of those are on Spectre PWM fans from Bitfenix, since they have a really nice aesthetic and also a really great performance. That was what I was going for first and foremost, and that's why I did not choose Noctua fans, because they are hideous. Hate people who choose those when they have a nice build with a side panel on. If you have a closed case, go for it. If not, otherwise, just don't show those fans. Please, don't show them. They're hideous. Or paint them, for the love of God. But I digress. So I have my front panel hooked up via the SATA 3 ports, even though it really doesn't need it, and I will never use eSATA. The other ones that I have hooked are, once again, my OCZ Vector and my Western Digital 1TB black. That's my main hard drive with all my Steam files, all my music, all my pictures, all my DVDs and movies that I have ripped and stuff. In front here, we have a Spectre Pro from Bitfenix. It's a 230mm red LED fan. That actually is pretty quiet. I have all the stuff controlled by the Asus AI Suite 2. I have everything set on the silent mode. It actually still, the GPU never gets above 45 degrees on silent, and on turbo, it never has gotten above 41 degrees. Even with the CPU running at full, on like Prime 95 or some other test that I'll run, and the GPU running Furmark or something along those lines. It never gets above that. Anyway, down below I have an EVGA NEX, the Supernova series, the 750 Gold. It's a 750 watt power supply, which is more than enough for this system. People often overestimate their power supplies, and I did that with my last build for a quad core, even though it was 125 watt, which doesn't really lead a whole lot to the actual electricity usage from the PSU. And I had that and a 7870 and a dinky water cooling rig that was kind of ghetto. That was way overkill for it, and that PSU was loud too, and it pissed me off. This one, dead silent, cannot hear a thing, and I love it. EVGA has some really nice sleeving on their cables. I'd rather have a set of actually like sleeve Bitfinex Alchemy cables, but right now I don't really want to do that since I am perfectly content with my build. I'd only really use those for the 24 pin, even though that looks really nice as is, and I'm afraid that the individually sleeved cables would droop over onto my res. And I'd also use those for the graphics card. Anyway, something that I did forget to mention was I am using, I believe these are Monsoon temperature fittings, which I had custom modded with Thermalstar temperature gauges that I have in the front here. I'll show you guys that here in a minute. But that's measuring the temperature of the water coming out of my 7970. Anyway, down below here and below this cover, which you cannot see below, turning on light here to help you see. Down here we have a Swiftech MCP35X PW1 controlled pump, which is plugged in up here. You can see kind of the hideous green wire. You guys probably can't see it all that well. No, you can't. But right by that, I have it coming out of a Bits Power triple or dual rotary 90-degree angle fitting coming up here, and it actually looks really nice. I'm really happy with how that turned out. I really like these PSU covers. At least for this build, it worked out really well for me. But right by that, I have a Bits Power mini valve connected via an Alpha Cool T-block, and those are all connected by 3 Alpha Cool male-to-male 5mm extenders, and then I have a barb here at the end. And this actually makes draining really convenient, because you literally just stick on a nice soft piece of tubing on the end, and you put the tube in the piece of tubing in a bowl. Once it's linked up, you turn on the system and you can drain it, or you can actually, it's better to leave the system off, but if I really needed to drain it fast, loosen the port up here on my Frozen Q res, which I'll talk about here in a second, and then you can drain it that way. Anyway, speaking of Frozen Q, there is my double helix reservoir. You really can't see it. It is right here though. You can see it by the outline of my hand. And that is the 250mm Liquid Fusion V, and that has just distilled water with some Mayhem's Extreme Biocide in it, which is actually really good stuff, and it doesn't drop temps a whole lot. But yeah, that's what that is doing. And that's also, I have the side ports as an option on it, and it's in the blood red configuration. I still have yet to get another UV cathode, but that will all be happening soon. Speaking of which, I still have yet to get my UV lighting. I know that the Danger Den tubing does look a little orange, and it always looks orange in pictures, but it actually is pretty red in real life. And I'm actually really satisfied with how that turned out. I kind of went on it because I knew that Danger Den was going out of business, and which is really unfortunate. I really liked them, but I knew that it was going for cheap because they were just trying to sell out everything, and people were buying it really fast, and so I figured I might as well grab a, I think it was like a 9.8 foot, it was like a meter pack that I got from Frozen CPU for the bulk. But that's what that is on. Also, the 290-degree fittings going from the res to the actual pump are Phobia. They're the kind of silverish, and it actually does kind of give a little accent down there if you're ever looking into the bottom of the case. Other than that, none of my other drive bays are populated at the moment. I actually do have my old Lexington Chronos. I thought about mounting it in my my case, just to have my old OS on it, but then I decided to go from Home Professional to Windows 7 Professional, or Home Premium to Windows 7 Professional, and it was definitely an upgrade worth doing. So yeah, that's pretty much what the inside of my case looks like. I tried to manage all the cables as best as I could. It kind of went a little ghetto down here again. And another reason why I like these power supply covers is that they actually do cover some of the mess. Most of the mess is on the back side. I'm not going to open that up just for sanity reasons, trying to get the damn thing back on. But other than that, everything, actually, I'm really satisfied with it. I thought about going push-pull up in the top. Turns out I wouldn't have space since I had to route my cables through here since I on accident covered up my cable routing hole at the top of the half. The radiator is so big and it's so thick from what I thought it would actually be in real life, the rad at least. And with the gasket on it for adapting or for putting on fans, it turns out that it is so thick and it is so big in the top of my half X that I actually could not get push-pull and I wouldn't be able to plug in my CPU power, either the 4 or the external 8 or the extra 8-pin. Actually, I have just the 8-pin plugged in and it's actually doing fine. And the MCP35X PWM header and the 2 PWM fans. Or wait, no, are those PWM? One of them is a PWM, one of them is a 3-pin. Actually, I might try after I stop shooting to plug in my PWM up here and then rerouting my 3-pin down here, since I don't think it's the PWM header that's working. I think it's just kind of fritzing out. But anyway, that is what the inside of my build looks like. I'm pretty happy with it. I think it looks quite nice itself. Scooch you guys in. There you can see the outlining on that. It actually isn't as pink as it looks in real life. I'll turn off the lights real quick so that way you can see that. There you go, that gives you guys a better idea. Of course there is lighting in the case, which I'll show you guys here in a second. Alright, gotta turn on the other lights really quick. Alright, so now let's take a minute here and I'll flip the case to the front and we will take a look at the front of this beast, and then I'll show you guys a quick look at it when the system is on and running. Alright, so here we are taking a look at the front of the case, 230mm Bitfenix Spectra Pro. I believe this filter right here is removable, but wait, is it? I don't believe so, and I don't want to break my case actually. We'll play it safe and call it not removable with the front of the case on. Anyway, I do have a missing drive bay here. I know I am probably going to be sticking an optical drive in there. If it's not too long, it might come in contact with the tubes bending down, getting into where the water cooling goes back into the reservoir. I have my other drive base for airflow. There's a Bitfenix Spectra Pro 120mm behind here. Let's see if you guys can see that here. Yep, there you go, you can see the fan, and there's 2 tubes coming down, which actually glow really, really nice on the LED backlight of that fan. Here we have Innophobia dual, Innophobia single bay mount. We have a dual temperature mount. This is the water coming into, or I believe out of, the top rad, the 400mm, and this is measuring the temperatures of the water coming into, or coming out of the graphics card. If I ever needed to, I can go back here and have a simple click of the button and it'll change from Celsius to Fahrenheit. But I do all my measuring, all my temperatures in Fahrenheit, in Celsius, because that's what the PC community goes by. Somebody actually asked me what these pins are for up here. Vote for Pedro. That's just because I've always liked Napoleon Dynamite, the fuck yeah thing, because I think memes are hysterical. And the green ribbon is for my Uncle Mark, who died after fighting off a very, very aggressive and extremely rare type of brain cancer 3 times. He was kind of a badass for that, at least I thought. Up here on the front I/O, you can't really see it. Tilting up the camera. We have the 2 USB super speed, the USB 3s. We have our power indicator and our hard drive, eSATA, FireWire, 2 USB 2s, microphone, headphone, and the slider back and forth, which you can hear, for covering up the power reset, and the fan LED, which is no longer being used. This fan LED button up here does not work anymore. So yeah, so let's get the side panel back on the case. I'll flip it back around, reorientate my replace, we'll just go with that, my camera, and we'll take a look at the system when it first powers on, and then I'll power it on again in the dark just to give you guys a really, really nice look. Also show you guys what the front looks like powered on, and what it looks like in both the light and the dark with the side panel off, powered on. And so yeah, we'll get everything set up here real quick and we will be right back. Alright guys, I have just a little bit of lighting on just to show you guys what the case looks like with the side panel on once again, and kind of in the dark you can see the start button and the reset, along with the lovely lighting on the onboard audio where it separates the PCB to avoid interference. So let's turn off the lights. I'll have a little bit of lighting in the background just that way it won't contrast so much and glare in the camera. So yeah, I'll hit the lights and then we will hit the power button. Turning it on. I do have the fans automatically spin up to their max speed upon startup. That's what it looks like. I think it looks pretty damn good. It automatically starts up to Windows 7 Professional, running off of my OCZ SSD, which you can see. Another thing that I want to do besides getting the UV lighting here for the tubing is to get the white lighting in here so that way it'll kind of drown out the dominators if I don't want to see those lights, and it'll also accent the red more than the red lighting already is in my case. It'll also show off all the lovely looking black parts of the PCB and part of the heatsink on my motherboard itself. It'll also show the really nice steel backplate, or not steel, I'm not sure exactly what kind of metal. It'll also show off that on the back of my Swiftech Komodo, and you'll be able to see everything else like my res. When the UV is on, it'll look really nice. So anyway, that is what it looks like with the side panel on. Let's turn up some of the lighting and see how that looks on the camera. Yeah, it doesn't really look that good on the camera. Here's what it looks like with the lights off. It's still quite bright. I'm sorry that the start buttons and the post meter are not trying to work with me here, but it actually does look significantly better than what it does in real life. And if you can hear that really loud fan noise, I'm not sure if you can, I doubt it though, it's that fan back here in the back of the case. So let's pop the side panel off real quick and show you guys a boot up with a little bit of lighting. And Steam's already starting up, so that's kind of nice. Okay, anyway, so to the side panel off. Dun, da, da, da. Alright, here we are with a quick look at the system one more time before I show you. I don't know who else would be showing you, but before I show you what the inside of the rig looks like without the lights on and without the side panel on. It'll look almost the exact same as it will when I get the full side panel, either the half 932 or the custom frozen CPU one. I don't really intend on modding it myself, but I really do want to be able to show off all of it, including the glowing Komodo logo, the lovely looking Dominators, the Apogee HD, all my rads, the res, everything. That's besides performance, aesthetics is another one of the things that I went for with this system, also with being absolutely bonkers fast. I can't believe I just said bonkers, but it is actually very fast. I think the only hiccup that it had was literally right as I installed Crysis 2, it had a bit of a burp and it blue screened on me. Also, I forgot to mention this, on the router I am running an Asus wireless to Ethernet, which means it takes the wireless signal from the router in my house, Ethernet into the back of the computer, and it's called the EA-N66, and it is actually really fast. It'll do 450 megs per second, but I will not be maxing that anytime soon. So, let's go hit the lights here. That's what it looks like. You guys can see it glows against the red tubing, which is really nice. And you guys can see here in the front, it has already turned on the temperature mounts, and Windows 7 is booting up once again. Got your glowing Swiftech Komodo logo. I'll bring the camera in really quick. Alright, so, sorry about that guys, but that is what it looks like on the inside. Let's turn up the lights. I believe they are on high as of now. Nope, let's turn them up. That's what it looks like on high. I know that this piece of tubing right here, where I have my hand by, does look pink, and this area here does actually look really bright, but if I ever wanted to, I could just bend lights down and it would shine elsewhere. And it actually is kind of a nice thing to be able to do. I know it also does look like it's spotlighting really badly right here. That once again is just my camera. and everything is running beautifully. This thing is actually really quiet when I have all the fans configured on AI Suite 2, but as of now, I just started it up and I had to reset AI Suite 2 and reinstall it. I had a problem with it, but everything is running fine, and it literally just throws anything out the door that I try and handle or do with the system. It's so fast. Anyway, so let's take a quick look at the front, and then we will wrap this up with a quick conclusion about my build. Alright, so here we are looking at the front of the case again. We'll hit the power. I don't really want to turn off the lights because there really isn't a whole lot to see here. But I will move the camera around, so here we go. You have your BitPhoenix Spectre Pro, the 230mm. Got the 120mm on the front. I'll show you what it looks like when the tubes start glowing, or when the, yeah, it's already running. And then we have our dual temperature mounts. Once again, they are in Celsius. I'll bring you guys for a closer look here in just a second. But here's what it looks like. Scoot you back. And here we go on to the tubes. So anyway, that is what the tubes look like. The fans are running oddly fast right now. Anyway, we'll put the side panel back on, and then I will give you guys a quick wrap up about my build, kind of the journey and the reason behind it, and what it's helped me with personally, and any tips I could give anybody if they were water cooling now. Anyway, so let's head on over to the conclusion. Alright, so this build for me has really been a learning experience, to be honest. This is the first time I've ever done a single loop where it's got the GPU and the CPU. I never posted any of my previous computer videos besides my old build in my half 922 with my Phenom X4 965 Black Edition, Phenom, however you want to say it. I got that overclocked to 4.2. Right now, this thing is sitting stable at 4.4. I'm not going to overclock it for a while because I just want to enjoy the games without doing some really dedicated testing and being cut off from like Crysis 2 or Tribes Ascend or whatever Dirt Showdown for a couple weeks. Because I do take a long time to do my testing because I want to do it right. But the main thing about this is it was, once again, learning experience. It was kind of a journey since I'm evolving in the way that I've been building my computers, and this one was a big step. So it was really an opportunity for me, once again, to be able to learn more. But it's also just because I didn't want to have to upgrade my system for quite a while, like a complete system overhaul like I had to do, because I had a crappy little motherboard. I mean, it was a pretty nice little motherboard, but the M5A97 R2.0 was not that good, whereas this is the top end, the highest end AMD motherboard that you can get. And I had people try and convince me, oh, switch over to Intel, get a 3770K. This beats the 3770K. It just does. I don't know how the hell AMD did it, but it does. And when I saw those benchmarks, I went, well, guys, we got a badass in here, you know, full on. But after I actually looked into the benchmarks and I benchmarked mine against my friend's 3770K and then my other friend's 3570K under water cooling, it made a lot of sense. More cores with AMD is more power, to be honest. But once again, if you guys ever have any questions, as always, PM me over YouTube, drop a comment, leave a comment on my channel. I'm not sure if YouTube still even does that anymore. But if you guys have any questions, of course, remember to look back through my previous build log videos. I have explained stuff and how to do it in a couple cases and instances. But most of all, thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate a lot of the people who have subscribed to my channel during this whole period of time, during this like a month and a half long period of the build log. It was like 11 parts, and this is the final part. This is the system tour that you guys just watched. I'm sorry that it took forever, but I really wanted to cover everything, give you guys all my thoughts on my videos. I kind of feel like the Time to Live customs guy, Tiny Tom Logan, that the system is so, like I covered the system so in depth. But I don't have anywhere near the skill level that he does. He's been building rigs for a couple of years longer than I have, but he's also one of the best sources of information that you can get online. Also, coming up soon, I'll be doing a $2,000 editing build for a professional photographer. He needs the most power that he can get out of that $2,000, and he also has some kids who will be playing some games. So I had to incorporate both of those into, I believe, an NZXT Phantom 410 in the gunmetal. Also, I have a buddy who's moving away to college next year after he graduates from high school, and I'll be doing him a system build, and it'll be probably either be a 3570K and a 7870 or a 7850. Or I'll do an 8350 and then a 7870, and if I can squeeze it in the budget, I will do a 7950. He's undecided whether he wants to do full water cooling yet, but he will hopefully make up his mind pretty soon. Anyway, once again, thank you guys for commenting, liking, subscribing, just anything on my channel, viewing it. It actually really means a lot to see that the PC community is still alive and thriving. But also encourage anybody who's debating water cooling, do your research first. Whatever you do, take it slow. I said this, I just commented this in one of my previous videos just before I'm about to post this and edit it. But take your time, for the love of God. My last system, was never happy with it because I rushed it. And this system, I'm really satisfied with actually. I still need to get the lighting back, and I still need to get a fan controller in for my DC fan, or my non-PWM fans, DC. But other than that, I'm really happy with it. And I hope you guys really enjoyed the series of build log videos that I've done. But anyway, thank you guys for checking out my videos. I am Tim. Once again, you guys can see my information on my channel, also known as Naptime with Turtles 2, and I will see you guys next time.